comes from auto accidents or other type of accidents all at once. I think the difference here was, first of all, some of our residents were involved in this, so we had a personal interest in that. We knew some of the patients coming in, which always makes it more difficult when you can put a name with a face and that you know them. And also the type of injury that we were receiving were up front more serious than typical.
So I have had some experience. I've not been in the military. I do have a relationship with law enforcement and actually function on a local SWAT team as the medical director, and so I have been involved in some mass shootings in the past.
Yes, Kim?
So if you want to go ahead and finish that question.
No, I don't have any military experience. I did do my trauma training as a resident 25 years ago out in Los Angeles in Compton, so I guess that could be military training in a way. You know, a place kind of a war zone back in the 90s, but nothing formal, and no mass casualty experiences. I guess I'll say that, thankfully.
Jim?
Yeah, Dr. Ash, you said something which claims that people trying to die. Explain what you're talking about there.
Well, I think that anybody that comes in after having a gunshot wound the gunshot wounds could be lethal. We all know that, and people coming in with low blood pressures or no blood pressures, your goal is to try to not let the gunshot kill them. I mean, I think that's the honest to God truth, and people try to die when they're shot often. That's part of what doing trauma surgery is about. You save their lives, if that makes sense. I don't know if that answers your question, but that's...
It gets into it does.
One of the other things that Dr. Ross brought up was about how we kind of had a personal connection to this shooting. We had, at least 5+ of our residents and their families go to this church every Sunday. They're very devout parishioners, and their kids were there, and their wives were there, and some of them were physically there. And so it was... some of them acted with heroics to bring and pull people out of the fire and then share that story with us when they came in for their own treatment. So this is deeply personal to our community, not just our hospital or giving care. At least I'm from this community. I live 25+ years here, and I practice here for that time frame. So these are our people, and so especially when we train these residents, we spend a lot of time with them, and they're part of our extended family. And to see them go through this and their families go through this is just heartbreaking. And I've told a lot of people, words cannot describe the feeling. We really shouldn't have to go through this in any community.
Kristen, and then I'll take Charles.
Were any of the residents' families or themselves injured in the attack?
Yes, one of our residents' child was.
As well as 2 of our other residents.
Charlie Langton?
Just give us an idea. This happened around 10:30 or so Sunday morning. You guys got there. How long did it take you before you left the hospital that day?
I didn't leave until about 10 o'clock p.m. For all kinds of reasons. One, we had several operations to do on several of the patients, and the follow-up, spending time talking with their families, which is kind of a very interesting experience because they're in an equally weird kind of shock that you don't normally get from a family member. We've all had sick family members at some point in our lives. You're in shock a little because your family member's sick, but you didn't personally just go through this traumatic experience. But every one of the family members I talked to were at church. Their kids were at church. And so it was a unique experience, I think, for all of us in that way.
Did you also, you had 2 gunshot wounds at the hospital and 2 from smoke inhalation?
We had five gunshot wounds at the hospital and 3 smoke inhalations.
Some of them, we had 3 gunshot wounds that were critical patients, and several, like the young boy that Sandy talked about, were, I guess no gunshots benign, but were smaller injuries. and he got to go home later that day. So,
Darren Cunningham?
Yes, hi. You all see a lot as it is, but to have this personal connection and this mass casualty, how do you all feel?
I think our training helps us cope through this. On a daily basis, we see some horrific either illness or traumas, and you adjust. I think what really turned us was not only the age and the severity of the injuries, but also the connection. We were treating our own, which is always a little harder. We always are invested in any of the patients that come in, but when you spend day after day with that person and then they come in as a trauma, or their family does, I think it hits you just a little different.
Go ahead.
Thank you. Adrian Broadus from NBC News Network. First, I'm going to ask a question, and then after you answer, I'm just wondering if you could share with all of us something you would want us to know that we don't necessarily ask or even know to ask. And so my question is, you all said earlier in the week that your youngest patient that you cared for was 6 years old. What are those conversations like? When you're treating someone that young, what do you do to help them get through the worst day of their life?
Well, I hate to say you try to normalize it, but you do try to you try to level set with that individual. You talk on their level as best you can. You show them kindness and caring, and that they're safe. The biggest thing people worry about is safety, and am I going to be okay? And that's what people need to hear. And it doesn't really matter whether you're 6 or whether you're 80. It's just the way that you say it, I think.
you know, I think you get down to kind of the humanizing nature of medicine, and I guess I would hope society to a certain extent. Talk to the little kid, tell him he's going to be okay. You know, share some love and compassion with him. Get his mom to come and hold his hand. Those type of things, I think, help the 6-year-old do okay. But even with the people that were sicker, you know, it is being there and just having just natural compassion for them and love for them, which, to be honest, I think is probably something we all need to do in the world in reflection on this experience. You know, none of us should really have to go through this. The world can't be tolerant and care about disagreements and not have to hurt each other, at least in my opinion. And I would hope that most of us have that opinion, I think. So.
What stands out about the 6-year-old to me, I took care of him, was he didn't shed one tear. He walked in the emergency department stoic. Mom was a wreck, which as a parent, I completely understand. And what I did was I looked at the wound, had an idea of what was going on, and comforted both, I think, them by telling him and Mom, you're going to get through this, you'll be okay. But I'm just amazed. I know there was shock in the patient, but there was not one tear, which is a strong kid.
Go ahead.
I was just wondering if each of you guys had any moment, you know, knowing that it was a couple days ago now, but is there a moment that you think back to that sort of tells a story of the teamwork that you spoke about earlier and that you can remember that day?
I think the challenging thing in these kinds of situations is the unknown. So we didn't know how many people we were going to get. We didn't know what kind of conditions they were in. But I think that one of the things that went really well was we took care of the most critical first, and then we immediately started to reposition patients to other areas and get rooms, the trauma bays, cleaned back up and ready for the next patient that may or may not come in. And I think that, you know, that involved quite a few people, because to turn over a room like that quickly, to move the patient to the next best room where you could still watch them because they were semi-stable, but if they became unstable, you could still get to them quickly. That's a lot of, that takes a lot of teamwork and leadership and thought process to make sure that you're optimizing the care for what may or may not come in.
One of the other things that I found was once the process started and we started to take care of the people with our small group, recruitment happened very fast. We had surgeons calling. Dr. Paulson came in, one of the vascular surgeons here in town. 3 heart surgeons came in from the Detroit area to help us out. Dr. Vance, our trauma director, came in to help us out, and he was super helpful with the care we delivered. There were several of our residents that are Mormon that didn't go to church that day and had just had a baby, and he came in from home to help both take care of his brothers as well as help us deliver care and him deliver care. And so there were people that their family, were lucky to be alive, and they still came in and did their part to be of service. And that just wasn't our Mormon residents, that was a bunch of our residents. People gave up their Sundays, came in out of nowhere. So it was the immediate teamwork was amazing. We worked well together. We delegated, we trusted, all of those things that you want as part of a functioning team. But you also had the people that came in and went above and beyond to deliver the great care we delivered on Sunday.
Dr. Ross, you want to add to any of the teamwork comments?
No, I think it.
Okay, great. Over here.
Thank you. Could we have a status update on the people who were treated at your hospital? What conditions are they in? How many remain hospitalized?
3 remain hospitalized. I think it's fair to say that 2 are in fair condition and 1 is improving, is a much improving status. No.
And the rest have all been released from the hospital?
Correct.
So 10 admitted, 7?
8 admitted, and we have 3 left in our care, and all 3 are improving, not in critical condition. They're in fair condition, yeah.
On Sunday, at one point, I heard the police chief say something to the effect of one patient had passed away here at the hospital. Is that true? And what can you tell us about what happened in that moment and what that did to morale, too, while you're working on this whole group of patients?
Yes, we did have a patient who passed away from a gunshot wound. It was an extraordinary team effort by far. Just we did everything we could, and the injuries were too great. Morale, I think you have to say, like a soldier in a battle, you have to compartmentalize and move on. We anticipated other injuries coming in, and we had to prepare for that. And afterwards is when you decompress and think about it.
I think being the trauma surgeon on call and all of us hoping that everyone lives, it's hard. I think it's really hard to have somebody that is traumatically injured or for any reason die. I think unfortunately we probably have a sense that we're supposed to be able to save everybody, but we can't. And that was probably the reflection difficult thing for me. You feel bad and almost sorry that you couldn't, even though you did your best, that you couldn't keep them alive or save them or keep them from dying. Back to my comment earlier. I went yesterday to the vigil that they had at the hospital, and they had these crosses out in front. And, you write your sayings on them. And I felt a really strong urge just to say I was sorry, as weird as that sounds, because I guess I am. I feel bad that we didn't have the miracle to be able to save him. And I think that's part of the struggle people in medicine have, is that we can't save everybody, but I think the world kind of expects us that we should be able to. And that's the hard part of doing this job, especially in this situation, because we can only do what people's bodies allow us to do, I guess. If that answers your question. So.
Yeah, just to follow really quickly, how many children, how many adults?
We only had one child. and all the rest were adults.
Darren?
I know that hospitals will train for mass casualty events. I guess based on this real-life experience, what I would say are the most important recommendations you would give to other healthcare providers, hospitals preparing for mass casualty?
We actually just had a mass casualty training a month or two prior. What I would tell other facilities is it can and probably will happen to you. I never thought it would happen to us. Our company, we took care of a lot of the patients, not us personally, but our partners in Las Vegas after that horrendous shooting. And a few other places, I think we've had mass casualties. And, you know, you always say it could happen, but it probably will happen, which is the unfortunate thing.
I think that's probably the biggest thing, is that all of us thinking that this isn't going to happen here. You know, I think that's one of the things that happen. People get a little complacent and get a little, grandiose, that we're not going to have a mass shooting in Grand Blanc, Michigan. Well, we're wrong. It can happen anywhere. You know, we're all equally at risk, which is, I guess, I would hope people would start to change their minds about each other a little bit and start having a little more grace and tolerance.
We'll go to Charlie and then Adrian. Charlie?
You're from here. What's been the reaction that you get, or what did you learn about the community here from this mass shooting?
I personally received a lot of texts and phone calls, and even in my community where I live, just people asking how I'm doing and just giving their condolences that this happened. And it's just an outreach of sympathy and thank yous.
And I think that we've also seen a lot of support from the community, but also from our hospitals and physician groups to provide counseling and support. A lot of resources along those lines, because people are affected differently, and they're affected differently based on the timeline. You know, you may not feel like you need some support for a couple days or a week, but knowing that those resources are there and that the community is out there supporting it is, I think, really very reassuring.
Adrian?
And just for clarity, I want to make sure our language is correct. All three are in fair condition and improving? Okay, yes, thank you.
All right, we'll take just one or two more questions if anybody else has any.
Just a quick
Okay,
follow-up
Tim.
for Dr. Ash, maybe. You're talking about the physical wounds healing. Can you just go into the emotional wounds, and how is it going to live with us forever?
Are you talking about the patients or the care teams?
Society.
Well, the physical wounds will heal, and some of them will be problematic for the patients for their lives to a certain extent. For the little kids that got ushered out the exit door because they were shielded from a gunshot from a friend, I don't know if those wounds will heal. You know, our resident whose kids were at church with his wife, while he was operating with me that night at the hospital, his kids will probably never be the same. You know, they're sadly going to have an emotional thing they're going to have to work with for life. They're young. And so I think us as a society need to kind of maybe wake up a little bit and realize that we don't need to do these type of things, and we really need to have these type of experiences inspire people to love more and hate a lot less. There's really nothing to hate, honestly. We're not all that much different. And for a disagreement or two or a belief system, there's really no justification for anybody to have to die for any reason because you don't like my sandbox that I play in. As you think about it in that simple terms, that's how silly it is. But here, these type of things happen because we hate. And unfortunately, it happens in the news and happens just in the corner store and at the bar sometimes with people. We don't need to hate anymore. And that would be my message to everybody. Stop. There's no reason for it.
Thanks.
you. Last question, anybody? Okay, Steve?
Obviously, there's a labor situation
Oh.
going on at the hospital. Did that in any way affect your ability to respond to this emergency?
No, we're not able to speak about any. That's not the time or the place. Thank you. Okay, everybody. Thank you so much. We appreciate you. Again, thank you so much to the City of Grand Blanc for lending us your space, and we appreciate you during this time. Thank you. And then we'll have the doctors leave first, and then everybody else can.
All right, good stuff. That was good.
No. People show up. The guy was killing me.
Why don't we, okay, why don't we do something outside? I mean, and give us like 5 minutes to set up outside?
That shouldn't be a problem.
Okay, we'll do that. Very good. Hello, hello, hello.
1219, I was at the journal. And then I'm from Fenton originally, so this is
No
my
relation to Jimmy.
Tim, what's going on? You got everything? Good stuff. Good stuff. Good stuff.
That ash was great, wasn't it? That ash in the middle, I fucking kept picking up again because I'm like, use soundbite machine. That last bite,
Yeah. It's all good stuff. It's all good stuff. This will be easy. This will be easy.
someone else the other day, they said, what time does Charlie actually work? I said, I think he works from 4 a.m. to midnight.
3.
How are you? It's been a minute. You good? No, I married up. I'm in Oakland Township.
You married up and good to see you.
Good stuff. Do you want something in the next couple of minutes?
No, you'll print it.
Oh, they'll print them. Oh, yeah. Okay. Oh, right. Yeah, the Cornwell took over.
Yep.
I'm confused with these mergers.
You doing all right? No, I still hear you once in a while. The night cam is still running it.
No. I took the bond. Oh, yeah. Last year I took it. He does the morning, I do the afternoon. Okay.
All right, they're not doing it. 4 o'clock, so let's go edit this.
I just spoke to the PR people. Where we can go on their property. And hopefully let them know they'll escort us like the entrance.
You know what it's at?
Yeah, I think it.
I was talking to Dana right there.
Dana.
Or he might know too.
That's Dana there.
Yeah. He's also PR.
They're like 1,000 PR. What do we have to do? Just go on their property? They'll let us, right?
Honorable discharge.
Whoops.
I guess I'll say call them. They'll escort us to a good spot.
Where do we want to go, though? I mean, we go across the street, right?
I mean, if we want to add it, we can do it right here.
Well, no. Let's go to a. Let's go to a. Where do you want to go live? Because we go live at 4. We got a 4, a 5, and a 6 probably. We got to edit a couple of the little bites for these. That's 3 of them. I would like to go. Is the hospital nearby?
Yes.
Is there?
We want to go live at 4, 5, and 6.
Here, or do you want to go to the hospital?
We prefer the hospital.
Yeah, we can escort you over there.
Where do we go?
Here, Dana's right here. Thanks, Kristen.
There's got to be a. Just right out in front. Some of those protesters I love.
I think we're What time do you want me to meet you over there?
Well, we're going to go live at 4, so
Okay.
4 to 4 maybe.
Okay.
4, 5, and 6.
I'll head over there once we